Bride price, Africa's unique traditional marriage rite practice that validates the union of two people who want to share their lives together for purposes of companionship, procreation, and many others. Today, joining me on the program, we have my guest co-host, Daniel Sukri, an award-winning radio broadcaster. Thank you for joining me today.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
You're most welcome. Joining us on the program, we have Babatunde Oluwa Seun Kolawole, aka Seun Bharbs.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so very much for having me on the program.
My pleasure. Honorable Engineer Emeka Gregory Asoego. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Then finally, we have Chidinma Okoro. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Why is it important to pay bride price? Right before we went on air, we were talking about how about groom price? And we found out that in India is actually a commonality that they pay groom price as opposed to bride price like we have it in Africa. Why is it important that we must pay a dowry in exchange for someone we want to spend the rest of our lives with? I'll start with you, Seun.
Okay, I think it's just a way to attach a bit of importance to what is about to happen. That's like the coming together of two different people from two different families. And then just that value, it's not like that determines who the person is or what the person is. It's just to show that there is something that was actually done to signify the coming together of two families as a union, as one at the end of the day. I think that's basically what it is.
Well, you have marriage list now that's just ridiculous. I mean, we have one, I don't know if it's going to come up on the screen. It was 51 items that a family requested the groom to bring. Wrappers, tea, coffee.
We do have some that like youths have their list, the women have their list, the men have their list, and it's like it's not like it was community contribution that they used to trend again. You know, you just so we're asking Chief now, are these bride price and lists for marriage really necessary?
Well, there are two different things. Bride price is different from traditional marriage. Okay?
That's where there's a problem.
Okay? Because bride price is like consent. It differs from different states sometimes in Igbo land. For instance, in my own family, when you come to bride price, we start negotiating. People say, she has gone to university, we spend so we want 50 million. Then they start negotiating. One, this is process of the both family to interact and know themselves. At the end of the day, the family might die 5,000. And now, both family are agreed. They go out, bring 5,000. And when they get that 5,000, they collect it from them and keep. The following morning, they will come back with drink to count the money. And when they come back, after counting the money, the family may take about 100 naira and give back to them. So what you have to do is take this and take care of yourself. Just take care of our daughter. That 100 naira is that bride price. So it doesn't matter whether it's 1 naira, 30 naira, 5,000, 10,000. The issue depends on individual, what you want. That's the bride price. And oh, sorry, I have to put all this.
Oh, wow. Okay, Chief. So, to you, Chidinma. So you heard Chief say that bride price is different from traditional marriage. I'm not quite sure what the difference is anyways, but during the traditional marriage, we know that's when the bride price is typically paid. But Western society has taught most of us that bride price is sort of subjugating women to oppression. It's sort of demeaning our worth as women. Do you agree with this, that bride price is demeaning and insulting to women?
Okay, for me, from my perspective, I look at it as a way of preserving custom and culture. Let me give an example. I have two elder sisters, and they got married. And when they did, before they did, I was a bit worried because they said bride price from Imo State is really high. So I was wondering what it was going to be. But the bride price, I don't think we paid. It wasn't more than 100 naira. Finally, after all the higgling and haggling. So that's the point. They might start with a very exorbitant, amount, but then it's just part of the fun. Where they just haggle and haggle. It's part of the process, and it preserves the culture and custom, right? That's what I see it as now. But then where the problem really lies is in the list. The list that is given. Now, sometimes you might see a list of, say, 100 items or even more, right? But if you come to monetizing everything on that list, you realize it's not much.
Really?
Yeah, so we monetized my sister's own, the first one. And according to my uncles, that list had not been changed since forever. So even with inflation, it was still the same amount, right? So for my first sister, it came up to about 150,000. I was shocked. I was like, okay, that's nice. I can get married. Okay, so after that, it was my second sister. And with inflation and all that, I think it came up to about 250. I hope it remains same for me. Okay, so so some of my uncles were saying they didn't want to increase it so that their daughters can get married because it's really scary. Yes. And word out there is that emo. They go to school a lot, so you're not going to get to.
What happens when you? God forbid this wouldn't happen to you, but what happens hypothetically when you go home with a man that you love, who cannot afford what you consider as not that much? Do they automatically call off the wedding, or can you plead on his behalf and say, I love this man, I want to spend the rest of my life with this man, therefore this bride price is not as important to me?
I don't think you can totally just wave it off. I think that you can plead for a reduction, especially if your father or whoever heads your home is influential or has a say. He can manipulate things.
So last, if your popsy get him out.
No, it doesn't have to be in terms of money, but he has some influence. Yes, there's a way it could be manipulated and adjusted. Yes,
quick one, Chief. Now, does inflation affect this list?
In normal Igbo, when you talk Igbo culture, sometimes I try to limit to my own, because sometimes cultures differ. But what I'm trying to say is that bride price doesn't stop your marriage. You pay a token. Assuming your daughter is already pregnant and you don't know, you pay a token, okay? And that token you pay, the remaining one, you tell them, I will continue paying, because marriage doesn't end one day. You might come back to build a house for your in-law. You might do other things for your in-law or your children. So these are continuous issues. I don't understand me. So, but what makes sometimes this thing expensive, why parents don't even demand money these days, is that in those days, this money is used to prepare for you for coming. Okay. But now, you give every money. So if you want to come with the whole crew van in the state, you're on your own, okay? But we are not putting any money, because if you collect, as when you collect 200,000, are you going to be able to finance all his friends and everybody that are coming that day? So to make it lesson for the parents is take a token from him. How he wants to do his traditional marriage is on his own. Because traditional marriage is more expensive than this thing. Normally in those days, the parents will host the in-laws. But now, most cases, they host themselves. And that is why you talk of this thing. When you are collecting money, make sure you don't collect and pocket. Because if you collect, you will bring it out. If you say I should bring 200,000, then the day we are coming, we are waiting that you are going to cook for all of us.
So, Chief, you've said that bride price is not the same as traditional
Yes.
marriage. So can a child who is Igbo get married traditionally without paying bride price?
No, you have to pay bride price.
You have to.
You have to.
Okay.
It's after
so
bride price.
what happens when the parents of this bride gives an exorbitant amount of money and the person can afford it? Because I've heard of a case where someone was being asked to pay 12 million. They started off from about 15 and they got to 12 and they said, no, we're not going any lower. 12 million.
12 million.
No, excuse me.
Are you serious?
This is exaggerated.
You won't marry.
12 million.
It's exaggerated.
Not say it.
Listen, what I want to tell you, what I'm trying to say is that actually bride price shouldn't stop marriage, because if two of them already hooked and seriously and don't want to disengage, it becomes a challenge for the family how to solve the problem. Because you cannot say your daughter should drive the person he loves want to steal. Then you start negotiating. The girl have a role to play. She will come to the parents and say, look, my husband don't have social. He might have tomorrow. This is what we can pay. Okay? And if they refuse, you go. For instance, let me use, for instance, Odumegwu Ojukwu. When we went to marry Bianca, the father refused the marriage. He refused the bride price. He left. After they have children finish, when the man accepted, in 2002, we went and did all the things at Ngwo. So it didn't stop the marriage. Marriage is between two people. The only thing is that when you come to this question of traditional, that is wine carry, the issue is you are talking about list. The youth have their own. The Umuokpos, which means we call them the Umuokpos are dads that are married elsewhere. They have their list. The old people have their list. And some of this list, it depends on area. Sometimes it's not too exorbitant, okay? But if you have to buy a cigarette and two cartons of wine for the youth, it's not too much. You have to buy tobacco for the aged.
Wow.
Okay? Excuse me. You know why I'm saying this? After all these things, these people you bought all these things, most cases during wedding, they have gifts to bring. That's why the envelope you give, you know, they might name everybody. For instance, my sister's daughter get married. I was here. They send money in the village and drink.
Seun, let me bring you in here.
Okay.
I'm a Benin girl.
Okay.
Our bride price has remained the same from time immemorial.
Okay.
It's been 24 naira, it hasn't changed. Okay. My older sisters who are married, usually when they bring more money, like 100 naira for instance, my grandfather will say, go and bring 25 naira. It has to be exactly either 24 or 25 naira. And it can't be any more than that. And it goes to show, he always reiterates this, it goes to show that we're not selling our child.
Exactly.
This is just a token of our tradition. This is just a way of us celebrating our culture with you. But then again, I think to myself, what really is the significance? Is it something that we can do away with? I don't necessarily advocate for, ridding ourselves of our culture, of our heritage. However, I just want to, sometimes I wonder what the meaning, the significance, the purpose of this practice is. So for you personally, do you think this is something that we can get rid of in Nigeria particularly? Or do you think it's something that we should keep perpetrating?
Okay, I'll say that we can keep it, but it should be in two ways. In the sense that I believe they don't want it to be a kind of thing that, okay, you just come and then you just present their daughter to you and then you just go. They just want to put a bit of style into it. It's just to cushion the relationship between both families. But it's like people have taken it overboard. Now it's no longer cushioning it anymore. A guy is trying to get married, is thinking, do I get married to this lady because of this? Like the Yorubas, you go to the family of the wife, and then they'll just tell you what you have to do, put things together. There's something they say in Yoruba, oh, strong power, that means that you didn't come empty-handed. That's why you see them come with fruits, with banana, and all sort of things. So the idea is just for you to come, not to come ordinarily, but then to show that, okay, you value this lady, you respect her family.
Is
and
there
then,
a set price for bride price in Yoruba?
yeah, I think exactly, but I think it depends on the peculiarity of the family. Because
see.
sometimes you see different, some families will even tell you just come.
Oh wow.
Yes,
Just
just
come as
come.
you are.
Just
Yeah.
come as you
Wow.
are.
Wow.
You're not like you're broke.
So that you must say come as you are, release it with 4 naira. We're beginning to consider this thing.
No, not like you're broke, but I believe that the level of importance you attach to a person doesn't necessarily have to be determinant on what you bring on that day. Because
Okay.
a lot more things are going to happen between both families. So now if you deprive the person of getting access at that time, you don't know what could happen later on. So you see some people say, okay, because I paid, you are my wife. No, that shouldn't be the way.
Yeah.
Okay, now I have a concern now. Chief mentioned that the girl has a role to play here, like telling her parents, you see, I love this man, I want to be with him. But I've also heard instances where the girl is telling you, pay that's what they're saying, pay this money.
You're correct.
As in our elders are saying, pay this money. This is the girl that's saying the man she wants to marry. If you can't pay it, I don't know.
I heard a lady saying a lot of people come with jeeps, like in
Yes.
our hometown. You
So
don't come
her
with,
own can be different.
Like, yes. I was just wondering.
No,
what are you
as a
saying?
young woman, what should the guy do at that? Because we'll just change party.
Okay, first of all, the truth be told, for me,
Yes.
I don't think, maybe I should bring this in. In the scriptures it says, Amos 3:3, can two walk together except they be
Yeah,
agreed?
it has to be an agreement.
There has to be an agreement. I mean, if you're marrying a woman who does not agree with you on certain things, I don't know what you're doing. You're just setting yourself up for disaster. If she can't have your back. But then there's also the case where the woman might be saying that because she knows the kind of family she's from. Sometimes it's not about your immediate family, your father. There are
Yes.
uncles that are so domineering. Maybe your father is not the first amongst his brothers and he doesn't have the final say. In that kind of case, it's a bit dicey.
Yeah.
And she might just be like, well, I've had this kind of issues with my elder sisters or my cousins and it never went well. So I beg Oga, just pay what they're talking
And I think
about.
it's more
So
difficult.
I think each family has its own peculiarities. Yes.
There's one area on basic on cultural marriage I forgot to mention. First of all, the culture is that you met her, you want to marry her. You take her, assume my daughter, you come to my house with your people, introduce your intention. Then we say, we have heard you. Go back, maybe in a month's time, you people should come back. That go back means we go on search. You go on search. You must find out my family by your friends. What type of family?
Family is.
What
Okay.
sometimes sicknesses and other things in that family. You find those things out. While ourselves also is searching for your family from those who know you. What are we doing? We are trying to make sure that nothing will hinder this marriage if we knock it together. Not tomorrow you say, I didn't know that this family is like this or that family is like. But most cases now, young ladies and men who grew up in town don't care. They just meet themselves when their parents say, no, we have finished. We just want to do it one day.
Married.
Okay, and you find out, I'm a Catholic. In Catholic doctrine, if you come to the parish priest, say you want to marry, first of all, they will ask you, do you know these two of you? Do you know yourself very well? Do you decide you can marry? Say yes. Okay. They will demand you go for a test.
Okay.
This, what do you call it?
Genotype.
Genotype.
So that they're compatible.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, I made a case, a friend of mine. They are exes, and the girl say he must marry the man. The father said no. She insisted they have to come to me. I asked the girl, why do you want to? This love sometimes is transferable. Assuming this man died now.
I like that. The love is transferable.
Assuming he died in accident now, won't you marry again? So these things are just in the brain.
True.
This issue we are talking, You want to be having children and they will be dying. You want to torment yourself. Why not? These things are part of
The things you need to check.
You need to
put
check.
them in place.
Okay? That's why, do you know the man very well? Sometimes they even ask you, even if it's not allowed, you should meet the man before you marry. But sometimes you have to know whether he's a man or a woman.
Yeah.
I don't understand. These are decisions you have to make before you
All right.
say you want to marry, because you don't want after marriage you start discovering, if I had known. Was this man married before? Has he issue anywhere? They will ask you all this question. Or you to a girl, have you? So that you open up. If you have a child when you were young, you tell the man. If he accepts you that way, then he won't come back and say you deceived. So these are the findings. Sometimes they say they are wasting their time. And then they ask, you bring your parents, or did they go to your place to pay dowry? Not Abuja marriage. Somebody will confirm. No, because somebody will confirm, say, yes. The parish priest is asking you this question, and you'll be writing. So after all these questions, that you have done all these things, now is wedding. You say, okay. Like you are saying, some girls will come. They are just starting. Because she want to do a shebi for one of her friends. She want her wedding to be that way. And the man hasn't got the man. Father said, what we want you just to remain in blessed sacrament. Come morning mass, we wed you. When you have money, you celebrate. The guy said, no, my wedding, I must wear all the regard, and I must do what others are doing. These are some of the problems we encounter. Like myself, another problem we have is, my daughter, during our days, if your child is grown up, how do you know? He start work after school. You buy a car, you bring the father, he bless it. He wants to marry. You'll be watching your child, whether he's actually matured. He is to bring the girl. You look at him, you say, are you ready? He say, Daddy, I'm ready. Are you sure? He say, yes. Do you know what is involved? He say, I know. It's okay. You want me to escort you? Where is the money? You should, because you don't want to go there after bride price, you say you don't have money. It's a disgrace to your father. But so what some of us do now is, they take over that marriage from them. Even their friends will come there, they won't have seat. Is their mother big night and all the week occupy the place with her child? How do you know that your son have reached the age to marry? My duty is to come and break kola nut for you. Arrangement of your marriage and everything, both of you.
So parents can't assist?
They don't supposed to assist.
Wow.
Wow.
You break down.
You better break down there. Because if you are not ready, what I'm trying to, this is what makes marriage sometimes don't work. They overblow the thing. You have to cut your coat according to your size. You won't start driving Jeep when you have not driven Volkswagen. You just wake up and start driving Jeep.
Words of wisdom. Chief,
Exactly.
we have to have you back on the show. Unfortunately, we ran out of time. Thank you so much, Chief. Thank you so much, Seun. Thank you so much, Chidinma, for your time. We would love you guys to come back, guys and ladies, to come back and discuss this topic further. Thank you. The pebble I got there was... love is transferable. So young people out there who think you can just
That your father say we come as we are. 24 naira. It means that you believe if you tell that man we have like 23 naira 50 kobo. Just come as you are.
No. It has to be 24. But since you can't find 4 kobo, we'll take 25 now.
Yeah, you take it up. You take it
You
like
take
20.
it down now.
23. No. That's an insult to our ancestors.
No, there's just one that just happened recently. The girl lives in Britain. It's from Anambra. The boy is from Idoma. The brother just wedded in this corporate wedding.
Okay.
Where they spent nearly 4 million.
Oh, shit.
And we didn't eat. We only see menu up and down. But the food was not coming. The brother wanted to wait. He came in the morning and waited and I tell you why. I said, I have all the money, but I won't be stupid to pay that amount of my wedding. After the wedding finished, the wife left the floor and fly to Britain and he came back. He has all the money. But so what I'm trying to say is that let's learn to cut our coat
according to our size. Thank you so much. We'll take a break right now. When we return, we'll bring you the lifestyle segment of the weekend show. To watch a recap of this sorry, the political segment of the weekend show. To watch a recap of the lifestyle segment, which I thoroughly enjoyed and I believe our guests did too, you can visit our website, www.weekendshow.ng.com. Don't go anywhere.